And hello to members of the Executive Policy Committee, and hello to my fellow delegates and those faithful few who are watching at home still. My name is Rebecca, and I'm an organizer here in Winnipeg, and I'm speaking as a concerned citizen in opposition to your proposed $6.8 million towards body-worn cameras for the Winnipeg Police Service. And before I begin, I just ask you not to mischaracterize my passion for anger, and I urge you not to dismiss my love for my community as a hate for the police, because these are not to be conflated. What good is a body camera when we have more than 1,500 people in Winnipeg who experience homelessness every day? What good is a body camera when 1 in 5 children in Winnipeg experience food insecurity? What good is a body camera when we know that multiple people die in Winnipeg every day from drug overdoses and drug toxicity? And that is more than one person in the city every single day. We need accessible housing. With $6.8 million, we could house almost 2,000 Winnipeggers for an entire year. We need access to food. With $6.8 million, we could give almost 3,000 Winnipeggers 3 meals a day for an entire year. And we need safe consumption sites. With $6.8 million, we could fund more than 4 of these sites every year and save countless lives. Now, earlier this morning, I guess much earlier now, I spoke with my 83-year-old white settler grandfather who grew up in Treaty 4 territory. So my grandfather is who you would consider a regular Canadian who believed for many years in the mythology that is the Canadian state. I told him that I'll be speaking to EPC today in opposition to funding police-worn body cameras. And do you know what he said? My grandfather said, $6.8 million towards mental health might make a real difference in the city. My 83-year-old grandfather gets it. And I have full faith that you all can also arrive at this understanding and we can get there together. My grandfather understands that unlike body cameras, publicly funded initiatives like accessible housing and safe consumption sites and access to food and mental health initiatives, these all create the conditions for safe, vibrant, healthy communities with a high quality of life for all of its citizens. And that is, after all, I believe, what you are meant to be striving for as our city councillors, isn't it? I don't have to tell you that body cams won't prevent crime. I don't have to tell you that body cams won't prevent police violence. And I don't have to tell you that body cams will not keep our communities safe. Body cameras assume that the police won't turn the camera off. Body cameras assume police won't delete the footage. And body cameras assume that the IIU is capable of doing literally anything. But perhaps most importantly, though, body cameras assume that police violence will always occur. Body cameras exist because police violence exists. And this is really something that you all need to really reflect on, because this is really the problem here. This kind of logic is laid bare in Councillor Chambers' assertion that controversy around police killings requires police body cameras. But what if we just dreamed a little bigger than that? What if we strived for no police killings rather than having the capacity to record them? Camera or not, we know the violence occurs because the police are present. And so how can I be okay with knowing that police violence is taken for granted as a fact of life in our city, in my community, and to my neighbors? How can I be okay with knowing that the Winnipeg Police Service can murder 5 people in 2020 and not only get rewarded for a job well done with an $8.5 million budget increase in 2021, but now they're wanting, another $6.8 million for body cams this year? And we know that that's an additional $43.4 million over the next 6 years. I could re-go over all the math that I did for accessible housing and food. I could do that for $43.4 million, and that would be quite the number, wouldn't it? But how can I be okay with our public leaders so blatantly ignoring the humanity of so many of those who are slipping through the cracks in Winnipeg every single day, on your watch and on my dime? And isn't it just the biggest irony of all that it was this council who made up the so-called anti-racism week? And I genuinely want to know what each of you think anti-racism is, because it's certainly more than putting up a lawn sign, especially as you all personally can continue to give the most money to an organization that was designed to perpetuate racism. And this racism is indisputable, as evidenced by the countless statistics available to us of incarcerated people and people who are most likely to be killed by police, because categorically we know these are Black and Indigenous community members. Body cameras are useless towards any semblance of reconciliation because police are antithetical to good relations. We really need leadership who has enough integrity to listen to experts and to take the concerns of their constituents seriously. And I have yet to see this, but I am really, really looking to be proven wrong. I really want you to prove me wrong and oppose body cams today. We've tried policing. We've funded helicopters and tanks, and it hasn't worked. More policing can't solve the problems plaguing our city. It was never meant to. Policing is, in fact, the problem that is plaguing our city, and it's time to try something else. Body cams have never and will never create safety and accountability. Body cams can't reduce police brutality, because what causes police brutality is the presence of police in the first place. By approving body cameras and continually adding funds to the police budget, you are actively endorsing this violence. Let me just remind those few counselors who claim to have progressive politics that you simply are not progressive if you're approving $6.8 million of public dollars for police-worn body cameras. And your actions will always speak louder than your words, your gestures, your lawn signs, or your ability to change the color of the Winnipeg sign. And so we just really don't want any more money to the Winnipeg Police Service, because we know that the police, and certainly body cameras, do not keep us safe. And so with that, I thank you very much for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Have a great, I'm not seeing any questions. Thanks for joining us.